Hello and welcome to Back Paddock. Today I'm going to show you what I would do if I had a new client that I wanted to bring into the advisor system. So this might be somebody that I'm offering a plan to for the first time. So all I've got is a mapping file and I want to do everything from that. So I'm going to start in Web App and I'm going to sign in here and I am going to create the start of my client file here. So I'll wait for this page to load. And then I'm going to use my client file drop down and I'm going to click on new. I'm going to give this a new client file name. What sounds fantastic? I will just say sounds fantastic. Mind the spelling. And I'm going to save that. So there is my client file name. Now I'm going to enter my first farm name. We'll make that Woody and save. All right, so we've got a client file with a farm. Now I'm going to use my plus sign down in the bottom right and I'm going to import and I'm going to browse and try and find some mapping files that I can use as my beginning. So let me just try this one here. And that's opening it up. Excellent. All right, so we can see here I've got a couple of options. I'm going to have my farm field. I'm going to select that as farm name and set. All right, so these do have default names in my farm file. I'm going to leave it as that. My paddock fields, I'm going to select paddock name. Okay, and I'm just going to import everything. I'm going to update area from paddock map. I'm going to allow that to create all of my paddocks and I'm going to import. I'm going to wait for that to progress. So by this stage, I will then have my client file. I'll have 3 farms, although only 2 will actually have paddocks attributed to them. They'll all have maps and they'll all have an area. So I'm going to let this import and then I'm going to move on to the next stage. Those maps are imported and our file's created, so I can close this prompt down and we can see that all of those paddocks in the background there have a nice bright green boundary. So now it is time for me to move across to our advisor software. So I'm going to open up Advisor, I'm going to refresh my file list and we should see for the first time my new file appear. So let's scroll down there. Sounds fantastic. There it is. Now, of course, it's no local copy because we haven't retrieved this to my computer yet. So I'm just going to single click it and click on Sync Selected Files with Corner Post, and that's going to pull it down and open it up for us. Just having a think. There it is. So now I'll double click to go into our new file. Okay, so I can see what I anticipated. So these are the 2 farms that have been imported, and then we've got the Woody farm, which is the first one that I created. So we do need to create a single farm to start off with. You can attribute these paddocks to that first farm if you want to, or it can just be a dummy farm, whatever works best for you. So as you can see, I've got all of these paddocks in here. They've all got areas, and so now I'm going to create a very fast plan for them. So I'm jumping in here and I'm going to have a look at my scenarios list. So I've had a chat to my new client and I know we've got some canola paddocks in there. So I'm going to select my scenario that I want. I'm going to select copy data between paddocks. I'm going to select scenario manager here as my source of data to copy. And I'm going to select all of the paddocks I need, holding control to click multiple at a time. So let's get that done. Release control and click on copy. So that's going to copy from my scenario manager into all of my different paddocks there on the left hand side. So you can start to see some of these icons are changing and I've got a plan in there. So let me go through and now we're going to do our barley paddocks. Same thing from scenario manager. Holding control, copy. And okay, so you'll just continue to do that for all of your other boundaries. So in this example, I'm just going to go to a wheat, copy data between paddocks, copy from scenario manager, and I'll just do this in the rest of those paddocks. So remembering holding control to select multiple at a time. Copy. confirm. Okay, so now each of my paddocks has a plan in it, a full plan. So what I want to do is create a report to show my grower. So I'm going to jump over to the reports page. Before I try to generate a report, I'm just going to go into setup along the top there. And I want to include introduction with a cover page. I've sort of maybe reduced some of this information from my previous plans, but maybe in this case, I want to include a little bit more. So some economics, for example. Confirm once you've made any changes you want to make in the setup section, and then click on general for your single click report. I'll let that load. Okay, and here it is here. So I like to fit page. If you fit width, you can scroll. So we've got our current year. That's what we're in at the moment. I'm going to click through. We've got our area summary, our seed summary, of course. Now I've turned on financials because I do want to give this grower a good idea of what's going on, through to my paddock summaries. So I would just then probably export that to save that as a PDF on my computer, or maybe print it direct if I needed to. Now, let's say you gave that to your grower, they said fantastic, but managed to maybe change a chemical or wanted some different rates in there. I would find the fastest way to do that sort of thing would be to go into Find Replace Data, and use this section here to just customize through any rates, prices, or products that you want to change. So for example, I've got MAP in here and it looks like it's $6.80 a tonne. I might say this is a new client, I can discount them to $6.60 a tonne. I'm going to replace all records in table below, click on yes, and it's going to update the price of that product in this client file only. So that won't go through and impact any other client files. Another thing we could do is, chemicals. Let's say we used, I don't know, Roundup Attack here. Click on Roundup Attack. Maybe that client, this new client, prefers to use something else. So I'm going to replace that selection with a new item. Let me go and find up some more. I'll replace that with Roundup Ultramax, replace all records, replace, and that's going to change that product out for a new product, and it's also going to then update the rates to match the information that's in the master database. So navigating back through to that now, if I go through to chemicals, I see my Roundup Ultramax. That's here. I could now go in and maybe look at updating some of those rates. So it looks like I've varied my rates from 0.8 to 1. I might say the 0.8 records. So I'm going to hold control, click multiple records. I want that rate to be, 0.9. And I'm going to replace selected records below and confirm that one. So you're going to customize that new plan that you're created for your client. And then, of course, you might just go back and produce it again. So that is what I would do to get a brand new client on board with a perfect plan that you've created from your scenarios or from your previous paddock data. It's got maps in it, so you can produce just a satellite map if you want to, just by going back into Web App, right-clicking and saving that image or copying it. And you're prepared with any of those on-the-fly changes that you've made to your data. Thanks for joining me.